teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
This week we read Parshat Bamidbar. Bamidbar, the Parsha is always read right before Chag Matan Torah. What's the connection between Bamidbar and Chag Matan Torah? Well, the Torah was given in the Midbar. Why was the Torah given in the Midbar? To teach that even if a person lives in a Midbar, in a desert, all alone, he's still obligated to keep the Torah. Not just among people, not just among civilization, but even a person's alone in a Midbar, he still must observe the Torah. And that's one reason why the Torah was given in the Midbar. And why this Parsha is always read right before Shavuot. Bamidbar 21 calls the Torah matana, a gift. And the gift of the Torah was given in the Midbar. So we said one reason why, that even in the Midbar you have to keep the Torah. But another explanation is, Shavuot is called Chag HaBikurim, which is the opposite of a barren Midbar. Chag HaBikurim, the festival of delicious fruits, blossoming fruits and flowers, Chag HaBikurim, which is the opposite of a barren Midbar. Seems to be a paradox here. Chag Matan Torah, Chag HaBikurim, given in a barren Midbar. Our tafkid in life is to transfer a spiritual Midbar into a fruitful spiritual Gan Eden. Turn our Midbar into a Chag HaBikurim, a spiritual growth and spiritual beauty. Now, it's strange that the Parsha that is read before Matan Torah Bamidbar does not contain not even one mitzvah. The Torah is all about keeping mitzvot. So why is the Parsha that's read before Chag Matan Torah Bamidbar, how come doesn't even contain not even one mitzvah? The Torah is all about doing mitzvot. So shouldn't there be many mitzvot in Bamidbar? And there's not even one. All there is a census. What has a census got to do with Chag Matan Torah? And where are the mitzvot? Says the Ramban, the census is each and every Jew counts. Each and every Jew is precious and chashuv and unique to a Kodesh Baruch Hu. To give kavod to every Jew. Derech eretz kodma laTorah. So before you want to talk about mitzvot, Chag Matan Torah, before that, there's something that precedes that. What is that? Kavod, respect, and appreciation to each and every Jew. And that's done through a census. That each and every Jew counts. Every one of us is B'ni B'char Yisrael. Every one of us, Kodesh Baruch Hu relates as if it would be a one and only child, as he says in Exodus 4. B'ni B'char Yisrael. Each and every Jew is special and unique to God. And that's the idea of a census. And therefore, read a parsha of the census right before Chag Matan Torah, because mitzvahs are important. But before that, make sure you appreciate and give value and kavod to every Jew. And that's done through the idea here of a census. Now, what is the connection between Bamidbar and the end of Vayikra? We know two books in the Torah, they have to be connected. In Vayikra, in Parshas Emor, we learn how time is precious. We must count each and every day. Svivat HaOmer in Parshas Emor, we must count each and every day. Svartem, to cherish and appreciate each day as a sapir. That's in Parshas Emor. We're counting the days. Every day is a precious sapphire. Then, in Parshas Bahar, we have Shemitah and Yovel. Then we count the years. Days are precious, years are precious, but Achron Chaviv, saving the best to last. After Parshas Bahar B'Chakosai, in Bamidbar, who are we counting? Am Segula. We're counting God's precious nation. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. In Vayikra, we counted the days, we counted the years, but in Bamidbar, right before Matan Torah, we are counting each and every Jew. The message of Bamidbar for us is that everyone should stand up to be counted. Then we're ready to stand from Mamid Har Sinai. We're ready to stand to accept the Torah, which we receive every year anew. It's a gift that keeps on giving. And therefore we make the Torah, the bracha, Baruch Ato Hashem, Noten HaTorah. We don't say Natan HaTorah, God who gave the Torah, but we say Baruch Ato Hashem, Noten HaTorah. What does that mean? Day by day, God gives the Torah each and every single day. Noten HaTorah. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And therefore it says by Parshas Yisro, we got the Torah in Parshas Yitro, the Parsha of Matan Torah. The Torah tells us in Parshas Yitro, Bayom Ahu, doesn't say Bayom Ahu, Bayom Hazeh Boy Midbar Sinai. Today we came to Midbar Sinai to get the Torah, Exodus 19. So Rashi says, Bayom Hazeh, today we got the Torah? It should have said Bayom Ahu. 3,333 years ago we got the Torah. So what does Exodus 19 say? We got the Torah Bayom Hazeh. Says Rashi, Shehi Divrei Torah Chadoshim Alecha Ki Ilu Hayom Nitnu. The Torah should be precious in your eyes as it's given every single day. It began 3,333 years ago, but it's the gift that goes on and on and on. So it doesn't say Bayom Ahu we got the Torah, but it says Bayom Hazeh. Each and every day the Torah is given to us anew. So we must appreciate and cherish the Torah each and every day that God gives us the Torah every single day. Then the Torah goes on here in Parshas Bamidbar. It keeps saying, the Jews are counted the Mispar Shemot over and over again. It says the word Shemot, names, 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 names. Over and over again, the people are counted by names. Why is that? Says the Ramban that a name in Hebrew is not Tom, Dick, or Harry. Your tafkid in life is contained in your Hebrew name. So the Jews are counted by name. It's important to go by your Hebrew name, which defines your mission in life. And therefore, throughout Tanakh, it's the women that name the children. Why is that? Since women have a bina yetera, since women are more godlike, therefore the word neshama, the word shechina, the word Torah, the word mitzvah, the word amunah, says the Maral, they're all feminine. Because women are more godlike. So therefore, throughout the Tanakh, it's the women that name the children. Because the name contains your mission in life. And women are more qualified, because they have a higher spirituality, to look at this baby and define the tafkid of the child contained in the Hebrew name. Women are more qualified for that. With their bina yetera, therefore, women name the children in Tanakh, and not the men. So here are the names of the princes that will help with Moses and Aaron the count the Jews are given. What's in a name? And the Torah gives the name of all the princes. And the prince of Shavuot Gad, who assisted Moses and Aaron in the count, his name was Ben Deuel, not Ben Cartwright. His name was Ben Deuel. Why should I care? What does Ben Deuel mean? The son of one who knows God. That's what he's called in Bamidbar 1. But later on, when the Torah repeats the count, in Bamidbar 2, there, the prince of God is called Ben Reuel. What difference? Ben Deuel, Ben Reuel. The Torah is God's authorized manual for living in the here and now. The Torah is not a history book. Who cares what his name was? And why was his name changed? This prince of God who assisted in the count with Moses and Aaron. What does Ben Deuel mean? To know God. What does Ben Reuel mean? Reuel means to love God. Famous song of the 1950s. To know him is to love him, and I do. The message is, once you know God, by admiring his incredible, beautiful, fantastic creation, the beauty, the wisdom of the vast expanse of outer space and inner space, and the beauty of a butterfly, of a rose, of a babbling brook. That's how the Rambam says. How do you know God? By admiring his handiwork, nature. And therefore, the word for nature, hateva in Hebrew, has the same numerical value as Elohim, God. So once you know God, then you come to love God. So therefore, the Nasi was called Ben Deuel, and later on he was called Reuel. Once you know God, you graduate to love God. Now, the tribes each had their different signs, their different flags. What does that represent? Each tribe had their flag. And Rashi said the flag of each tribe matched the precious stone in the Kohen's breastplate. Everyone knew his flag from the breastplate's precious stone in the Kohen Gadol. The same color of the flag of the tribe matched the color of the stone in the Choshen of the Kohen Gadol. What's the significance? Couldn't they all be the same color? Couldn't there all be one tribe? Why do you need 12 for? Each with their own style, their own nusach, their own flag, their own color. What's the message? Our joint creativity, all different sectors working from a different angle, creates a beautiful mosaic of Am Yisrael. Unity, but not uniformity. The beautiful mosaic of Israel, all different sectors, different angles, all working in unison to create one beautiful Am Yisrael. Then the Torah goes on and tells us the names of the offspring of Aaron and Moshe in Bamidbar 3. Remember, this Parshat is always read before Matan Torah. The Torah promises to give the names of the offspring of Aaron and Moshe, but it only mentions the offsprings of Aaron. So Rashi wonders, you promised to give me the names of the offsprings of Aaron and Moshe. Rashi said, since Moshe taught Aaron's children Torah, Malamed, from here you learn out, Shekol Malamed et Chavero Torah, Mala Olav Ki'ilu Yoldo. If you teach somebody Torah, the Torah consider it as you gave birth to that person. So it says the offspring of Aaron and Moshe, but it only mentions Aaron's offspring. And why is Aaron's offspring called Moshe's offspring? Says Rashi, since Moshe taught them Torah. If you teach somebody Torah, God considers it as if you actually gave birth to that person. And this is a kesher to the book of Ruth, which we're going to read on Shavuot. Ruth gives birth to a baby. And yet, Megillat Ruth said, Yulad ben Naomi. A son was born to Naomi. It's not a typo, God forbid. It should have said Yulad ben Ruth. Ruth gave birth to a baby boy. And yet the Navi Megillat Ruth says Yulad ben Naomi. A son was born to Naomi. But a son was not born to Naomi. A son was born to Ruth. So why is Naomi called the mother of this baby, Ruth's baby? Same idea. Since Naomi taught Torah to this child, her grandson, therefore Megillat Ruth calls Naomi the mother, even though the biological mother was Ruth. But since Naomi taught this child Torah, the Navi calls her the mother of the baby, even though Ruth was the mother. Now we have Torah that we read on Shabbos Parshat Bamidbar from the book of Hosea. Says, "Va'arastach li la'olam, v'arasli b'tzedek v'vishad, v'arasli b'amunah." The parsha, which is usually read before Matan Torah Bamidbar, the prophet Hosea quotes God. God says, I will marry you forever. I will marry you in justice and in righteousness. And I will marry you in faithfulness. 3 times the word marriage is mentioned. So Chag Matan Torah is the marriage between God and the Jewish people. And therefore, when we put on our tefillin in the morning, we wrap the ring 3 times around our finger. When we mention these verses from Hosea, God says, I will marry you forever. 1 ring, I will marry you in righteousness and justice, another ring. And the 3rd ring, I will marry you in faithfulness, and you will love God. So the 3 rings of the tefillin, will we put on God's wedding band every single morning by wrapping the tefillin around our arm and our hands. That symbolizes our loving relationship between God and the Jewish people. And God says something amazing in this prophecy of Hosea. When Mashiach comes, God says, you will call me Ishi. You will no longer call me Bali. In Hebrew, there are 2 words to say husband. My husband is either Bali, my husband, or the word Ishi, my man. 2 ways. God says, when Mashiach comes, you will no longer call me Bali, my husband. That seems to be a dominating position. But God says, you will call me Ishi, my loving husband. Call me Ishi when Mashiach comes. My lovey-dovey hubby. God said, when Mashiach comes, Hosea chapter 2, verse 18, God says, when Mashiach comes, you're going to call me God says, my lovey-dovey hubby. And you will no longer call me Bali, my husband, which can be my master. The relationship will be all lovey-dovey, all love. And it's very appropriate to read this Haftarah right before Chag Matan Torah, which is the wedding between God and the Jewish people. Therefore, God lifted the mountain over our heads. That was like the chuppah. The chuppah. But the Shabbos before Matan Torah is Shabbos Kala. The account of Matan Torah is given in Parshat Yitro. It's given in Parshat Yitro. Now, Torah tells us that the Torah was given on the 50th day after the Exodus. The Talmud tells us, the Torah tells us we left Egypt on the 15th of Nisan, which that year happened to be on a Thursday, just like this year is Thursday. So the 50th day must be a Friday. If we left Egypt on a Thursday, the 15th of Nisan, which came out like this year, that means the 50th day must be on a Friday. But the Torah says that the Torah was given by Yom HaShvi. The Torah was given on the 7th day, which was Shabbat. Torah tells us in Exodus 24, verse 16, God called to Moshe Bayom HaShvi'i. And God spoke the Ten Commandments Bayom HaShvi'i, which is the 7th day, which is what? Shabbat. So we have a discrepancy here. We left Egypt on Thursday, and we got the Torah 50 days later. That must be Friday. And yet the Torah says we got the Torah on Yom HaShvi'i Shabbat. So the question is, why do we celebrate Shavuot a day before the Torah was given? Talmud in Yuma 4 states, B'zayin b'Sivan nitna haTorah. The Torah was given on Zion Sivan, given on a Shabbat, on the 51st day. So the Magen Avraham and Shulchan Aruch wonders, why do we celebrate Shavuos on the 6th of Sivan when the Torah was given on the 7th of Sivan? As the Torah says, the Yom HaShvi, 50 days after Thursday, when we left, is a Friday. And the Torah was given on Shabbat, a day later. So why do we celebrate Chag Matan Torah, the 6th of Sivan, when the Gemara in Yuma, page 4, says clearly the Torah was given on the 7th of Sivan? The Magen Avraham wonders about that. We're celebrating Matan Torah the day before it was given. It was given on the 7th of Sivan. What's going on over here? What's the message? So to answer this question, we must ask another. On Pesach, among the Dayenu, we made a strange statement. We said if God would have brought us to Har Sinai and not given us the Torah, Dayenu, it would be enough. Strange. The whole purpose of the physical freedom of Pesach was to attain the spiritual freedom of what? Of Chag Matan Torah. So what's the Dayenu? If God would have brought us to Har Sinai and not given us the Torah, it would have been enough. What's the whole purpose of coming to Har Sinai if you're not going to get the Torah? Rashi says, Ki'ish echad, belev echad. At Har Sinai, we're united as one people, without machlokes, without arguments. But that alone would have been enough. even if we would not have gotten the Torah, the very fact that we united for once without any bickering, just for that alone, it would have been enough to come to Har Sinai even without Matan Torah. That's one explanation why we say in Dayenu would have been enough. But there's another explanation over here. And why we celebrate Chag Matan Torah the day before it was given. Rav Soloveitchik explains the quest for Kedusha, the yearning, the march, it's Telechu, in the Chakosai Telechu. The quest for sanctity is the process of Telechu, of marching, of yearning. Once you've achieved your goal, if there's nothing left to strive for, then there's nothing left to accomplish. The Yom Tov is called Shavuot, which means weeks. Isn't that a strange name for Chag Matan Torah? The Yom Tov of weeks. What has weeks got to do with Chag Matan Torah? So the Ramban says that the word Shavuot also means an oath. Chag Shavuot, the festival where God and the Jewish people exchange marital vows. The word Shavuot means a vow. We swore Nasa v'nishma, and God swore v'yitem li segula mikol ha'amim. God and us exchange wedding vows, says the Ramban. So therefore it's called Chag Shavuot, the festival of exchanging wedding vows. But the other explanation, it's Chag Shavuot, the festival of weeks. What has weeks got to do with Chag Matan Torah? Weeks refers to the period of anticipation and preparation, longing, day by day counting, eagerly anticipating, awaiting the main event of Matan Torah. So God called it Chag Shavuot to capture that excitement, that anticipation, the thrill, the longing. That's where Kedusha lies and is to be found. In the longing, the excitement. Person's looking forward to a great event, a great expectation. When is the thrill? Used to be a famous song, is that all there is? Is that all there is? Human nature is that the anticipation, the longing, the expectation is always greater than when the event occurs. Think about a great excitement in your life, your wedding day, a trip to Disneyland, a cruise. When is the excitement the greatest? When are you most hyped up? It's the day before. Because the actual event will never live up to the heightened anticipation. There's always going to be a letdown. It's not what you expected. You go to Disneyland, a cruise, you wait online. It's not what you expected. The height of anticipation, the thrill, the great expectation is the day before the main event. So God said, when were the Jews most excited? Chag Matan Torah. It's the day before. We're going to capture that excitement, that thrill, that great expectation, and we're going to make that Yom Tov. Because human nature is that when the event occurs, it's never as great as the anticipation. Anticipation. Remember the wedding, most important, precious day of a person's life, a happy day. When was the excitement the most? The day before, because once the wedding comes, you're like in a daze. You're in a daze. photographers running around, people telling you this, that, during the day. The excitement is the greatest the day before the wedding. So Kodesh Baruch Hu says, when were you most excited by Chag Matan Torah? The day before. We're going to capture that excitement, and therefore we're going to celebrate Chag Matan Torah on the 6th of Sivan, instead of the 7th of Sivan, when the actual main event occurred. Because the thrill is in the great expectation. Is that all there is? But when the event happens, it's never as thrilling as the longing and the anticipation. And the greatest of that longing and anticipation is the day before the main event. So therefore, God says we're going to celebrate Chag Matan Torah the day before the Torah was given. We want to capture that magic moment, the excitement and the climax the day before. And therefore we celebrate on the 6th of Sivan, even though the Talmud in Yuma, page 4, tells us that the Torah was given on Zion in Sivan. And therefore, in Chutz La'aretz, they celebrate 2 days. I hope to know that the real day is the 7th of Sivan. That's the day the Torah is really given. They celebrate 2 days. So therefore, we say in Dayenu, if you would have brought us to Har Sinai and not given us the Torah, Dayenu, that excitement, that longing, that quest, the yearning for Kedusha, that anticipation, that was the day before Matan Torah. When we were so hyped up with love and enthusiasm and excitement, God said we're going to celebrate that magic moment forever. And therefore we celebrate on the 6th of Sivan, even though the Torah was not given until the 7th of Sivan. And we see this idea, that's human nature. The thrill is in the great expectation. But afterwards there's a letdown. We see that. Once you hit the top, there's no place to go but down. Right after Matan Torah, 40 days later, the Jews worshiped the golden calf. Once you hit the top, there's no place to go but down. That's human nature. So God said we're going to capture and celebrate the day before. Therefore, we celebrate on the 6th of Sivan and not the 7th of Sivan. Just amazing that Rashi in Parshas Yitro says something incredible. Rashi quotes the Gemara in Shabbos 87 that God was ready to give the Torah on the 6th of Sivan, and Moshe added a day on his own. Shehoseb Moshe Yom Echad Bidato. The Machlokes, the 6th of Sivan, the 7th of Sivan. Such a main event of giving of the Torah, how could the tractate Shabbos, page 87, debate when the Torah was given? We Paskin was given on the 7th, but others say it was actually given on the 6th. Such a main event in Jewish history, shouldn't we all be on the same page? 6th of Sivan, 7th of Sivan. Why this confusion? And also, the Torah doesn't mention anywhere that Shavuot is Chag Matan Torah. The Torah mentions Sukkot, what it's all about, Pesach, what it's all about, the reason for Pesach, the reason for Sukkot, the Exodus, dwelling in booths. But Chag Matan Torah is not mentioned in the Chumash. It's mysterious. It just says Festival of Counting Weeks. Why this mysterious cover-up? The answer is, if the Torah would write clearly that Shavuot is Chag Matan Torah, and write the exact date, then people would think, just like, when do you have to eat matzah? All year? No, only on Pesach. You don't have to eat matzah all year, only on Pesach. When do you have to sit in the sukkah? All year? No, only on Sukkot. So the Torah would write the date, the Shavuot is Chag Matan Torah, people would think just like you only have to eat matzah on Pesach, not the rest of the year. Just like you only have to sit in the sukkah, only on Sukkot, not the rest of the year. So you don't have to study Torah only on Chag Matan Torah. So therefore the Torah deliberately covers up that Shavuot is Chag Matan Torah, that every day you have to study Torah, not like eating matzah just once a year, not like sitting in a sukkah once a year. But you're supposed to study Torah not just on Chag Shavuot. You're supposed to study the Torah each and every single day. And therefore the Torah does not tell us the date of Chag Matan Torah, otherwise you would only study Torah on that day. The Torah is given each and every day, to study Torah every day. And therefore the date of Chag Matan Torah is shrouded in mystery, because each and every day is Chag Matan Torah. Therefore it says, Bayom Hazeh. We didn't get the Torah Bayom Ahu. Exodus 19, Bayom Hazeh. The process began 3,333 years ago. It began then. But it's a process that goes on each and every day. We're supposed to accept, cherish, and keep the Holy Torah. Thank you.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.